Anticipating hyperinflation and seeing the inevitable death of the dollar, why wouldn't the Fed or the U.S. government print dollars and just buy out the entire supply of gold and silver so they'd be in a great position in the new system?
Well, I don't know that they're actually not doing that, to tell you the truth.
We do know China is buying tons, right? And so is Russia.
Yes, and actually what we also know is through the third quarter of this year, central banks globally have bought more gold than ever in their history. So they are actually doing that.
We should say something.
Okay.
Because it just occurred to me.
What?
Well, he said, and or the U.S. government. So the U.S. government, the Federal Reserve is a private bank. It is not
a government agency
at all, right? So it would make sense for the Fed to be buying, at which they would not disclose that to anybody.
Yeah.
That's their private bank. They're allowed to do what they want to do. They could be buying, but the U.S. government would not be doing that because the Federal Reserve sort of trumps the Treasury when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably,
yeah. So, I'm sure you guys knew about all the Fort Knox stuff, and is it really there? And nobody really knows, but it could be the fact, could be the fact that the United States government has no gold.
It could well be.
But could they print money and buy gold? Absolutely. That would be the smart thing to do.
And are they doing that? We're not going to know.
Right.
If you think that they tell us everything that they're doing, think again. So I wouldn't say that they're not doing it. We know globally they are. Central banks are absolutely doing it.
Right,
but
central banks, not governments.
Correct. But do we know for sure exactly how much gold China's buying? No, and they're not going to share that with us. So, yeah, it very well could be that they're doing it, JR.
They hide all their domestic production, too. China does.
Yes, they do. And they do not let any gold go out of the country.
Right.
So you better declare it on your way in, or you're not taking it home with you.
That might be a government that actually does buy gold for themselves. I don't know.
Well, do they have an independent central bank? Do we have it? I know they're all private corporations, but seriously, do you think any central bank is actually really independent? And remember, there was just a recent report from the IMF talking about, well, what do we really need them to be independent for? Because they're not really independent. So I think they're setting up to justify making that like official but also invisible, because people don't really understand the central bank, but they don't want you to think that anything has changed, even when everything has changed.
Right. Sportsman99 asks, is it wise to move precious metals out of the IRA, pay the penalty while spot is low, then own the coins when the spot goes up? That seems like a tax-related question. If I'm trying to think through what he's really getting at, it seems like he's asking, he or she is asking a tax-related question, like, should I get it out now while spot is low and then keep the coins while spot goes up? Then I'll have them when the spot goes up.
Well, and I would say that makes a whole lot of sense to me, right? Because right now we know that spot is being artificially suppressed. So, and also, everything.
Well, hold. Because we should make a disclaimer we should say that it doesn't matter if they're in your IRA, unless it's a Roth IRA, then you're not going to pay tax on it regardless when you liquidate it. But if it's in a traditional IRA,
and they can change the rules.
You're gonna pay the tax no matter what.
Right.
If they're in your private possession and you liquidate them out, you're still supposed to pay the tax on those coins regardless of if they are in your possession or they're in the IRA.
Yes.
Right?
Because all good citizens always pay all taxes that are due.
Right. So,
having said that, no matter what you're doing, though, as far as tax planning is concerned, so if that's where that question is going, to me, it makes a whole lot of sense to go ahead, and it's a choice that I actually did make, so I can speak to that, to, pay the penalties, get it out, pay your taxes, do what you got to do, and then hold it in your physical possession. Of course, the only thing you can do inside of an IRA is also bullion.
Right. So what you're pointing to, though, is it's not a tax-related thing. What you're saying is I do it to get it into your possession so you can have it near you, right?
Yes. But also, when do you want to pay the tax? I mean, I already had in a meeting with my accountant to figure out,
even if he
year-end
pays
tax
the tax
planning.
now, even if he pays the tax now, if there's a gain between when he
then
pays the tax, so if he has to pay the tax at the 1600,
right, which I would much rather do that and get them in my control than leave it in there, let it go to fundamental value, and then try and get it out. And the other part of that is I don't know, because I can't guarantee this, but I don't feel particularly comfortable leaving my wealth, including my gold, vulnerable to confiscation.
I 100% agree with you. If not, I'm also not comfortable having my gold in an IRA.
Right.
I much prefer it to be in my physical possession.
Yeah.
But I don't think about that from a tax perspective. So let's wipe away the tax question, and let's just look at it from what you said is, yes, pay the penalty, get the coins, get it out, get it into your possession so it's in your possession.
Right.
Regardless of what the spot price is.
Right.
Have them with you.
Yeah.
Unless you're like 59. And
then you want to wait 6 months?
You wait 6 months so that you don't pay the 10%. That's what I do.
Maybe.
But if you're like 45, like me, then
you
might want to pull them out.
Maybe. We are going into 2023, after all.
We are, after all.
Did I not say that 2022 was going to be a pivotal year?
Yeah.
Has it proven to be a pivotal year?
It's been a wild, crazy nut job year, yes.
Right. I have a feeling that between now and June, it's going to get even crazier.
Well, we're definitely going to start seeing global recessions kicking in.
Well,
and it's going to be known that all these economies are now in a recession.
Well, do you know that the global yield curve just inverted, and that's the first time it's done it in decades?
What happened the last time it inverted?
Well, the global recession. Global recession. Well, that's not really a big surprise for anybody.
No.
But there could be people out there that are going, well, the yield curve has been inverted for a while now, because it started, back, I think I first started reporting on the 20-year, 30-year bond inversion in, I think it was January. I mean, I could be off on dates on that, but it was like, it was in January. So some people go, oh, well, it's been inverted. Oh, look, have we not hit a recession? Not that they're declaring, because they get to say when it is and when it isn't. So I suppose it depends on who you are, whether or not you're experiencing a recession or not. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a big deal that it inverted here, but I also think it's a very big deal that it inverted on a global basis. And we're getting lots of warnings.
Yeah.
We're getting lots and lots of warnings.
All right, so Robert D. asks, Lynette, how can we force the price of gold to show its true value so that central banks can't buy it on the cheap?
Oh, we don't have the ability to force that. What you do is you take advantage of that, just like the central banks are doing it. It's going to be the central banks and the governments that do that overnight revaluation. That's when you're going to see it begin to express to its fundamental value. Likely not before that. I mean, historically not before that, because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. Do they want you to know that the currency is failing? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, and it is showing more of it's breaking away. The premiums are getting higher. You're seeing the physical to spot break away from that and holding long term. Like we've seen these premiums hold for a long time, way up higher than the normal amount. So we're already seeing that demand, outstrip supply, creating rising premiums and breaking away from the spot price to a certain degree. So, it's already kind of showing that to us.
Right. That's a good point.
So, but it's not expressing it as true fundamental value because we know that that's being held down. So.
Right. And I got news for you. Central banks, they create the money. We don't create the money. So we're not going to force the central banks, but you do vote with your purse. I mean, that I think is a big, huge key. So my vote is for gold and silver.